Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Séamus Brady, and I'm joined once again by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman. We are going to run through all of the action from another weekend in the GAA. Matthew, first of all, how are you feeling after another really exciting weekend of action?
Yeah, definitely another exciting weekend of action. Thanks for having me on again, Seamus. Yeah, it's a good weekend of football, good weekend of hurling. Good weekend overall for the GAA, and a special mention as well to Jennifer Dunn and Orla O'Dwyer, who won the AFLW title as well, down for the Brisbane Ninth. Congratulations to what a year Jennifer Dunn's had. I'm sure we'll talk about that in this podcast as well in the Gaelic Games, news of the week section on your podcast here. But yeah, excellent weekend of Gaelic Games, and looking forward to getting stuck into it.
Well, that's it. I mean, you summed it up very well. We will obviously massive shout out to Orla O'Dwyer and to Jennifer Dunn. I mean, Jennifer Dunn becomes the first player ever to win an All-Ireland Championship and a Premiership in the same season. Just absolutely insane stuff there from her. Orla O'Dwyer as well was the first ever Irish player in the All-Australians team at the end of the season. Obviously, this season, Niamh Kelly did it. I have done a full podcast with Mike Curran, who, of course, is part of AFLW Ireland. That will be coming out as well. But Matthew, in general, your thoughts on the Irish in the AFLW? I mean, 33 players are now in the AFLW from Ireland. Like Aisling Maloney won Rookie of the Year. Niamh Kelly got in the All-Star team. It's just insane the amount of players that are over there now blazing the trail. And then on top of that, Yvonne Bonner actually announced her retirement as well from the AFLW. She's coming back over to Ireland. What a career she had. But in general, a history-making year for the Irish down in Australia.
It is really, and worth noting as well that the finalists, Nora Belburn, had also three Irish players in Eric O'Shea, Ailish Considine, and Niamh Martin. So excellent players there as well, deserve a mention, definitely. The trailblazers really in AFLW have been the likes of Cora Staunton, who started the trend. You look at Sinead Goldrick, who went down there as well. Obviously, you had Breed Stack down there for quite a while as well, but after she retired from Cork LGFA, which is a testament to her. Cora Staunton, the same with Mayo LGFA, she retired. Like you had a load of Dublin players go down as well, like Jennifer Dunn, as you mentioned there, excellent really. Like there was just so many good players that went down, and Niamh McAvoy, who could forget her as well, going down to Australia. So there's been a lot of trailblazers, and these sorts of players are carrying on that tradition as well. Jennifer Dunn's been outstanding this year, and as you mentioned there, the only player to win a Premiership title and an All-Ireland the same year. What a year she had. We talk about David Clifford and Aaron Gallad and all the brilliant players. Jennifer Dunn, if you're talking about individual Gaelic Games Player of the Year, if you're doing award ceremonies or something like that at the end of the year, Jennifer Dunn definitely has to be up there because that's some achievement. Fair play to her. Added to that, All-Ireland as well, Jennifer Dunn was the main kind of driving force behind Dublin as well. Like she was one of two Dublin players nominated for Player of the Year alongside Leah Caffrey as well. So she was arguably Dublin's best player and won an AFLW title, which epitomises how much of a brilliant year she had. Orla O'Dwyer for many years now. Like since she, parked Camogie and LGFA with Tipperary, which she was very good at, by the way, went out to Australia. She has been outstanding. She really has. I think that's 2 titles now, maybe 3. So that's an outstanding achievement for Orla O'Dwyer, in fairness to her. And the Irish, they're here to stay down in Australia. Vicky Wall has gone to play rugby as well after a stint in Australia. Sarah Rowe went to play soccer with Bohemians after a stint in Australia. So there's players that have, developed their careers as well. It's brilliant to see. It really is brilliant to see, and long may it continue.
That's it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what is in the future really for this now, because it's going to continue the skill level that they have. And I mean, clearly Australia have woken up to the potential that are in these Irish girls to go over and smash it abroad. And that's what they have absolutely been doing. And I can't wait. Long may it continue. Now, we are going to touch on the other news which happened the week in the GAA. And this is starting on a really tragic note, unfortunately, this week. Obviously, the, absolute tragic incident that happened with Matthew McGuigan from Tyrone. Just a young lad, 24 years of age, and tragically passed away suddenly in Australia. He'd obviously gone there to live with his girlfriend, and just unbelievably tragic news.
Yeah, it's very sad news to hear. I was just scrolling through my phone on Twitter to see it on Saturday. I was just shocked, really. is the worst. Like, he was only a minor in 2017 with Tyrone. Apparently, he was a very, very good player for his club. Wolf Tones, a very good forward, very good eye for goal as well. Apparently, excellent player. Without Australia, maybe to have a break from Jade, it's just tragic, really, isn't it, Seamus? To start another chapter in your life and to be cut short is just absolutely tragic events. Obviously, condolences to his family, his friends, his teammates, his colleagues, Tyrone J, and to his girlfriend in general as well. It must be absolutely tragic events, really, for his family. 24 years of age, it's such a young age to take. Such a young player as well. You talk about Brendan O'Duffy a few years ago with Monaghan as well. Because even a Tyrone player died last year, the corner Damien Casey, like a young age as well. It seems like it's these tragic events that probably put life into perspective. The GA is only a sport, football, hurling, AFL, whatever it is, only a sport. You have to park it. Life is more important, and it's just absolutely tragic what has happened to RIP Matthew. Arish De Garevana.
That's it. Well said. Like, absolutely, rest in peace to Matthew McGuigan. Gone far too soon. And my thoughts and prayers are with his family, with any of his loved ones, anyone that is affected by that, because that really is tragic. And look, the GA's had a tough year when it comes to losing too many people too soon, like Red Oak Murphy, like Damien Casey, and like there's too many to list. There really is too many to list. The in memoriam section that the GA did at the All-Stars a couple of years ago was beautiful. And yeah, for this guy, Matthew McGuigan, 24 years of age, whole life ahead of him, it's tragic, and may he rest in peace. So we will move on to the other news, and this one now. It was released, the GA Go schedule for 2024. That was released, and obviously has immediately stirred up a bit of the headlines there. I saw your TikTok just before we came on live here as well. And just talking through this, the GA Go schedule for 2024, immediately debate has kicked off on it again.
And mainly, Seamus, the debate is because of Cork GA. And Cork GA fans are very, very unhappy about this. And obviously, I am a Cork fan. I have to speak about this, a Cork journalist with Southern Star and stuff like that as well. So I kind of have to speak on their behalf, really. So 4 of the Munster Hurling Championship games for Cork, out of them 4, 3 out of the 4 are shown on GA Go. So that'll be behind the paywall. It won't be on RTE. And basically, Cork fans will have to stump up the money for GA Go, or else go to the game itself, which will probably be full capacity, knowing the Munster Hurling Championship. It's an absolutely brilliant competition. And 3 of those games for Cork being put behind the paywall are as follows. Waterford away. So Walsh Park is tiny. So to pay money for GA Go there is absolutely scandalous, in my opinion, many other people's as well. The home game against Clare, put behind the paywall. And Clare, obviously, Munster finalists, All-Ireland semi-finalists. That's a huge game facing against Tony Kelly, Shane O'Donnell. That's put behind GA Go, the paywall. And obviously, Cork against the All-Ireland champions, Limerick, Park and Keith, is also put behind the paywall as well. So the only game that Cork fans will see free to air is the Tipperary game. And that I think is the last game of the Munster Championship. So I don't know, will it be live on RTE? Will it be on RT Player? It could be on RT Player. You know, the scandal with RT Player, like the streaming difficulties with that as well. So Cork fans could feel rightly aggrieved. And not just because of the hurling as well. The football games, no, the Limerick game, the Cork Limerick game is not going to be televised apparently for the Munster Championship, and probably rightly so, because 2 of those sides are Division 3, Division 2, and no one will probably watch them. But if Cork are to get past Limerick, their game against All-Ireland finalist Kerry in Killarney is also put on GA Go as well, the Munster semi-final. So that's 4 out of 5 games that Cork will 4 out of 6 games that Cork will definitely have between football and hurling put behind the GA Go paywall. The 2 remaining ones one are probably on the RT Player, most likely, and the other is not being shown live, Cork and Limerick in the football. So Cork fans could feel really, really hard done by this. And I've watched GA Go. I think it's good coverage in fairness. There's good presenters, Crawley McIlwain, Mark O'Shea is a good analyst, Paddy Andrews, Michael Murphy, Owen Cadigan, Ashton O'Reilly is a superb sideline reporter. Dave McIntyre is a brilliant commentator. They're absolutely brilliant journalists, in fairness to them, and brilliant analysts. The problem is, imagine an old age pensioner paying for GA Go in Cork now. They have to do it. Like 3 out of 4 games for one county. I think scandalous, to be honest with you, Séamus. It really is. I think it reeks of it's really, really poor from the GA to, go in on one county like this. And it's not just because of McCarthy. But you look at this, 4 of the 6 out of football and hurling being shown behind the paywall is, and Dan Casey described this on TikTok earlier today, it is a joke. It's a disgrace. Yeah. It really is for Cork GA fans. And another thing as well, according to the GA Go schedule, which I seen on John Folkley's article of the Irish Examiner, check that out if you haven't already. He came up with the news earlier on today. 2 All-Ireland quarterfinals are yet again going to be shown behind the paywall on GA Go. Look, I've no qualms again with GA Go, but I think All-Ireland quarterfinals in football should be free to air. They simply should be free to air. They should be put on TG Car, Virgin Media, RT. Even the 4 quarterfinals being put on RT. Imagine, like we were watching a live stream last year, Séamus, in last year's championship, Kerry and Tyrone and Monaghan and Armagh were both put behind the GA Go paywall. And there was a lot of, outrage over that. Danny Healy-Ray was even talking the Dáil. You could expect a lot more. Imagine Donald Cusack's anger right now at seeing this GA pictures. It's going to cause a lot of
controversy. We're speaking in December 4th, and I can confidently say that the GA Go stuff is going to pop up all over 2024. Like, from seeing the schedule now, it's going to be, we're going to talk about it a lot in the next season. You just wonder as well when you're looking at it, because it does seem ridiculously harsh on one county. You just wonder, did they look at this when they put it together, or did they just pick a few games and not really think who was going to be in them? Like, why was it so tilted towards Cork? And look, I genuinely am, I saw your post, I saw the games, but I haven't done an in-depth research in it. So I will ask you this. How does that measure up to other counties? Like, for example, are there any other counties who are coming even close to getting hit this hard by it?
I'm trying to look at it now. Like, I would look at the full list here. Galway and Mayo in the first 2 games are shown, but that's London and New York. So obviously that would be shown really on RT. The next game after that, Kildare, Westmeath, Wicklow. Okay, but at least they're getting shown on TV. They rarely get shown on RT anyway. Kerry against Cork or Limerick in the Munster Football Championship. Then Waterford against Cork. Antrim against Wexford in the Leinster Hurling Championships, also shown behind the GA Go paywall. You have an Ulster semi-final being shown on GA Go. That's Armagh against Down, most likely. Then you have the Leinster football semi-finals. But the thing is, I think the Leinster quarter-final, which Dublin are involved in, is apparently going to be shown on RT, because I don't see it on the GA Go list here as well. So maybe it's tilted in favour of Dublin. And Dan Casey actually mentioned it on TikTok. I don't want to say this.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I'm a Dub, but I mean, I'm not a biased Dub, and it sadly wouldn't surprise me if the capital wasn't getting put behind the paywall. Are there any Dublin games there that are behind the paywall?
I'm trying to look at hurling or football. There's obviously the Leinster Senior Football Championship semi-finals, which Dublin will obviously make, because Leinster football is very, very one-sided. I'm trying to look at hurling games here. There is Dublin Kilkenny on May 18th. That's the next one in the Leinster Hurling Championship.
The hurling isn't as supported as the football, though. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the hurling's behind the paywall, but the football, I'd be pretty surprised if they put any of Dublin's games behind the paywall.
Definitely. And
make no mistake, Matthew, whatever quarter-final Dublin are in, that's the one that's going to be on RT. like that day. So if you want to see your team play on RT for free, you better hope they draw the All-Ireland champions.
Yeah, that's the way it is, isn't it, Séamus? But the thing is as well, I think the All-Ireland, I'm looking at the date for the All-Ireland quarterfinals, it's June 29th. I'd wonder if that's a Saturday or Sunday, because it was Saturday last year. So would that mean if it's Dublin, other than last year, I don't know if it's just me, but Dublin always used to play an All-Ireland quarterfinal on a Saturday. Did you always kind of notice that, other than the Mayo game, obviously, last year?
A little bit. I do remember the Tyrone quarterfinals were on a Saturday. I do remember that.
That's definitely one as well. And another actually very good fixture being put behind the GA Go paywall, not just Cork and hurling. Waterford and Tipperary in Walsh Park is also put behind the GA Go paywall. So that's 2 Waterford games as well. I think, like, judging by this, I think most of the Limerick games and Clare games are going to be shown on RT. Tipperary as well. Waterford to an extent, and Cork have got the rare, dishonest treatment in many ways. It's very, very poor in general. Like a Tailteann Cup game is being shown. And another thing actually brought up by Enda Rowland, the Laois hurling goalkeeper, this is not enough games being shown on GAA. There's a lot of Tailteann Cup games being shown, but there's no Joe McDonagh Cup games. It only seems to be the final on RT. So is that an issue too?
I think when you're looking at this, I think the reality is that I think people took for granted what TV3 showed, and I think people took for granted what Sky Sports then showed. The reality is that especially adding in the Tailteann Cup, look, when TV3 didn't show the game, when TV3 was showing the games, there was nowhere near as many games. And the reality is that by showing the 2 quarterfinals, it was still on free-to-air TV. A lot of people still weren't that aware of how many games were there to be shown. Because remember, in the qualifiers, if you got knocked out, you were gone. So the championship tended to be over a lot quicker. Teams were usually playing 2 games and then they were out. And that wasn't right on these teams. But the reality is that by introducing the Tailteann Cup and by introducing more eyes to the John McDonagh Cup. Like the John McDonagh Cup has improved in quality. Like, let's be honest, when the competition was put in, 10 years ago, it was a case of whoever got relegated was bouncing straight back up to the championship immediately after hockey and everybody, be it Antrim, Westmeath, Laois. They just immediately bounced back up, having annihilated everybody in the division. Now it's different. Now the quality is actually very good. The John McDonagh final between Antrim and Kerry in particular stands out to me as being a cracking game. So there's more pressure to show these games. And they don't really actually have a bigger task force to show these games than they did before. Sky Sports, people are like, well, Sky Sports, well, GAA Go got all of Sky Sports. Really? I mean, do GAA Go actually have that many cameras? Do they actually have that much funding? And the money issue does come into it. Now, I'm not for any 1 second saying that they've nailed it. They haven't. There's mistakes made there. But this is a very tricky assignment at the same time. It's very tricky to be able to say, what is the best way to show all the games? What is the best way to A, run a business and get the most amount of money in so that you can cover the games to the best of your ability, but then B, to make everybody happy, which at the same time we know is an impossible task in its own right.
I'll just look at the fixtures again now. I'm looking at the weekend of April 27th and April 28th. I could count 5 games being shown on GAA Go. Imagine the outrage that weekend. Yeah. That would be absolutely, at top of the pops in many ways. You look at the games being shown. The 5 games are Antrim against Wexford in the Leinster Hurling Championship. You would argue Armagh against Down in the Ulster semi-final. No offence to Antrim or Fermanagh in that case. Cork against Clare in the Munster Hurling Championship, and the 2 Leinster football semi-finals, which could be involving likes of Meath, Kildare, Dublin, all them. So that's 5 games. I don't know how many are going to be shown on RT. They usually show about 2 on Sunday. So that's 2 games on RT and 5 games on GAA Go. Imagine the outrage that weekend. Mm-hmm. There will be a lot of it.
Yeah, no, there certainly will be. And but what is the solution here? How can we push this forward? What can change?
I think maybe half the GAA Go games actually free to air.
Like on YouTube live streams, like
on YouTube or something like that, yeah. Because look, you can't expect, we can because we have jobs as journalists and YouTubers and stuff like that, and obviously there's young people that have jobs and things like that, and yeah, they could pay for GAA Go away. But I'm thinking about the families that are at disadvantage and love GAA, or the old age pensioners. How are they going to pay for GAA Go as well? And another thing as well, restaurants, clubs and societies as well, they won't be able to stream GAA Go to put it on the TV. I know it because I worked in a restaurant before. They only, stream RT games or Sky Sports or TV3 or Virgin Media, should I say, or TG Car. They only put that on the TV. They don't have the resources to put GAA Go games on the TV. So imagine Cork restaurants at that stage next year. Like, it'll be absolutely manic in its own right. And even another thing that I found a problem with GAA Go, and it's not the analyst or anything like that, or the payment for myself. The problem is you couldn't cast games to the TV last year. I don't know, was that just me? But you couldn't do it, which was kind of a shame. I thought, and something needs to be fixed there in general. But yeah, I just think it's too many games on GAA Go. Like even Jackie Tyrrell said on the Sunday game this year, when he was on the Donald Cusack was talking about the promotion of hurling in that episode. A lot of people who remember that Sunday game in particular. He was saying that it's so early in the GAA Go journey that he questions why there's so many games being shown on the channel itself. And I'm looking at the main thing last year was so many games being shown in the round robin series in Munster in hurling, and in football it was too many games being shown in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship group stage. You remember Mayo Kerry and Galway Tyrone, Mayo Cork, Dublin Kildare, Cork and Kerry all being shown on GAA Go. And to be honest, there was very few games on RT compared to that. I'm just counting the amount of games for the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship being shown. So there's 2 on May 18th. So that's 2, 4, 6 of the group stage. So that's 8. 9 games of the group stage being shown on GAA Go, plus the 4 preliminary quarterfinals, plus the 2 quarterfinals on the Saturday. Now, Seamus, do you think that's fair?
No.
Fair? It's not fair on the ordinary GAA head in many ways. And I know old people that don't even have Wi-Fi boxes. How are they going to watch these games as well?
Well, that's it. And it's one of those things of moving too quickly for people, especially elderly people who won't be able to watch these games now, and definitely sort out the fact that set it up in pubs and set it up in restaurants and stuff like that. That should be priority number 1, because that can then make sure that people know where the game can be shown. And for example, a GAA club can put out hey, we're showing the game on down in the clubhouse if you want to come watch it. And that would actually be a great thing for GAA clubs as well, because it would get people into the club bars, it would get people into the club restaurants, and it would, be a great contributor to those GAA clubs, and that would help grow the clubs and help grow the game. And I think GAA Go should be kind of trying to facilitate that. The other thing on top of it is that the free to air stuff, yeah, that definitely, there should be more games that are free to air. And look, with RT, I've always thought that they're very selective about the games that they show. They'll show 1, 2 tops, and I'm thinking for the life of me, I can't work out. RT News now has its own channel that is on TV.
Yeah.
Why isn't GAA Go a channel on TV? Why isn't it? I never understood why they didn't just have a GAA channel, something that the whole country could tune into, because it is the national game. It's the largest sporting organization in this country. There are well over 1,000 clubs in the country. Everybody plays this game. It's the largest amateur sporting organization in the world. So you cannot tell me that there wouldn't be interest in watching that. And if you tell me that RTE are benefiting from putting on the likes of Fair City and Home and Away on their main channel for the entire population to watch, you cannot tell me that there wouldn't be a benefit to having GAA Go on the telly as a permanent TV channel. And I know what you'd be thinking, well, what are they going to do when there's no games on? What are they going to do when... Look at the amount of channels like Liverpool TV, Man United TV. Look, do you think there's a Man United and Liverpool game on every week? They fill the content with other programs, with replays of matches in the past, with debate shows, preview shows, review shows, deep analysis shows. Not only would that make the content in the general package of the GAA better, but it would grow the game exponentially, because you would get more journalists in, more reporters, more pundits, more people who could give their opinion. And on top of that, you could give the people who are watching and the fans who are watching a better voice and a better representation, because I think that's another thing that you hit the nail on the head there really, really well, is when you listen to people that are GAA fans. One thing I'm getting is such frustration at having no say whatsoever in this. For Cork fans, it must be so frustrating to just be told, oh yeah, if you want to watch this, you're going to have to pay for it. And there's nothing you can do about it. That doesn't seem like the game that it was 15 years ago, where Cork fans would have been guaranteed that they could watch their team take part in the Munster Hurling Championship, that were guaranteed that if they got Kerry in the Munster Football Championship, that they were going to be able to watch it for free. That's changed now a lot, and with no say from the fans. And I feel like when they're planning the fixtures, if there was a representation for the audience, that would be pretty good. I don't see what the general problem with that would be, because then somebody surely would have flagged it and been like, hey, why is Cork always on behind the paywall? And then maybe we would have been able to work towards something. But for me personally, to wrap that all up, I just can't for the life of me figure out why GAA Go hasn't just become its own thing. And I have a very good comment in here from Gavin O'Reilly. He says, maybe Virgin Media should show some games, because in defense of RTE, there are so many games to show. That RTE GAA channel is a pretty good idea also, though. I appreciate that, Gavin. But yeah, that's a very good idea. And look, with Colin Parkinson's show, maybe that's hinting that maybe Virgin Media are starting to, dip into a bit of GAA coverage. But in response to that, what do you make of my little tangent there?
I think it would be an excellent idea, to be fair. And to be fair to GAA Go, and I will credit them for this point, they are, according to the Examiner article, they are doing a preview show, which RT aren't doing. So that's something. That is very good.
I would take GAA Go as they are and put them on the TV channel. I love GAA Go, their coverage. I watched it. I really enjoyed it. The challenges for the pundits are a fantastic idea. At the end of the game, when they got all the pundits to go out to the 21-yard line and see if they could kick a point, like, that's really enjoyable to watch. So I would take it as they are and put them on the TV, and then get the money from sponsorships. You look at, for example, Dublin GAA. Dublin GAA do not charge the fans to watch the games. They don't charge the fans to watch the games on the YouTube live streaming, but the money comes in through other means so that we can put on the show that the fans can watch.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it, in fairness. And another thing that's frustrating for a Cork point of view, the Cork Club Championship was put behind a paywall as such as well with Rebels Online. You had to pay like a fee for that as well. And it's just too much money to fork out for Cork GAA fans in general. And I think it would be an excellent idea that you mentioned there to put it on the channel with RT News Dow and stuff like that, or even an RT Sports channel. I think that would be a really, really good idea. So, like, for example, like, say in May, for example, the Eurovision Song Contest is usually on in May. Anybody who's a fan of the Eurovision Song Contest, you could watch the Eurovision Song Contest, even though Ireland are at the final. Once again, you could watch that at 8 o'clock on RTE. But you can watch, let's say, Clare Waterford in the Munster Hurling Championship live on the RT Sport channel.
Yeah.
That's an idea. That is a general idea. And I agree with you with you look at MTU TV, you look at Liverpool TV. Like, I even see Virgin Media, I just flick through the channels, I see Virgin Media actually show a full replay of the game between Liverpool and Las Glynns in the Europa League. To fill content, to fill the schedule on Virgin Media 4 or 5, I think it was.
But that's content. Remember the AFLW Super Final? They said, okay, for anybody who missed it, we're going to show it again at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Now imagine if the GAA said, okay, the All-Ireland group stages, we showed Kildare versus Mayo as our live game, but if you are from Clare or if you're from Roscommon and you want to watch them two play against each other in the second game, we have that on at 5 o'clock immediately after. It's not live, but it is the full game with commentary, pundits, the whole lot. That would be pretty good.
And the thing is, as well, TG Carr do something very similar to virtual coverage. They did it last week with the club championship between, and we'll discuss that in a sec, between Rory Cushendall and Strathniel. They didn't have it live, but they put it live on the TG Carr player, I think it was. But then they put it to full coverage after the game between Clonlara and Ballygunner. Again, content. And that's what we're crying out for with the GAA community. And I definitely agree with you on RT. They're not going to benefit by putting on... Well, the Late Late Show is getting better. I will say that. Patrick Kilty is a very good presenter. I will say that. But they're not benefiting from the likes of, I don't know, repeats of Top Gear or Fair City or, well, Nationwide's a good program as well. I'm trying to think. Neighbours or they are not benefiting from those programs. Nobody is tuning in to watch those programs. Now, all I hear about, for example, from Fair City, people that watch Fair City, it's almost like a comedic act rather than a soap nowadays.
Oh,
They'd
it's
rather watch
terrible.
Emmerdale.
It's so bad.
They'd rather watch Emmerdale and Coronation Street, definitely. And they're on Virgin Media.
Their acting is like, oh no, someone broke into my house. What am I going to do? Like, it's tragically bad. There's no emotion behind it. They're reading lines or memorizing lines. And look, we're not here to bash that. It's personally, I don't mind it if it's for you, but I see it as the Sharknado type, where you'd watch it to kind of almost just because it's that bad, so you can kind of laugh at it. But I genuinely just think that that RTE should stop this act of trying to juggle GAA content and normal content. Stop trying to balance it all between two channels. How about use the fact that you're the national station to say, hey, just like we did with RTE News now, for anybody who wants to be depressed 24/7, we're going to make a sports channel for anybody who wants to watch sport. You don't even have to have GAA content on it all the time. We haven't even touched on that. How about you show the Katie Taylor fight? How about you show the Olympics? How about you show the football team? That would be pretty good. Irish sports channel.
League of Ireland is another one.
Yeah.
And this is Gaelic games, but League of Ireland is not showing enough on RTE either. And soccer fans have their right to complain as well. And I would say maybe show more URC action, United Rugby Championship, or even All Ireland League, or even cross country. Show that on a sports channel or whatever, and you could show your normal content like your home and aways, your fair cities, your late shows, your nationwides. Show them on RTE, on the main channels, RT1, RT2. Unless there's a major sporting event on, like Irish international soccer games, Kerry and Dublin the football, Kilkenny and Tipperary and the hurling or whatever. But any other sporting content that RT do not want to put it on the sports channel or a GA Go separate channel. That's your problem solved.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do, but why aren't RT doing it?
I do agree with you. I think that there must be something blocking it that we don't know about. There must be people who don't want it to happen, or there must be systems in place that prevent that from happening. Because when you look at it, for example, in terms of business, it would just be a pretty good business move to have your own channel 24/7 showing your games. That would just be fantastic for the sports.
And another thing actually, where between the lady sports as well, there was announcements in the All-Stars for the LGFA the other night that every single game of the LGFA All-Ireland Championship would be shown on TG Car. What an idea. Fair play to TG Car for that. Applause to the Brim for that. But what RT could do with the sports channel as well, show more Camogie games. Show all of the All-Ireland Camogie games to promote Camogie as well, not just hurling and football. A lot of things can be done with this. So
no, that's it. And again, it's one of those things as well that as the charter gets drawn up and as the games keep pushing, rightfully so, the Camogie and the football should be shown just as much as the male players. Absolutely should be. And what I can see is that they can't even handle one side. So don't even imagine what's going to happen when the second side starts getting, rightfully so, guaranteed as much exposure time. Then can you imagine how many games are going to be behind the paywall? I mean, some people probably won't even get to see their own county play. So in my head, this not a solution. It doesn't have one solution. It's not like if the GA whipped up a GA channel that all of a sudden everything would go away and everybody would be delighted, because then there would be the fight to have the live slot. And there would be the fight to be like, well, okay, well, which game actually gets shown live? But the reality is that having a channel that is dedicated to showing GA content or sports content that puts on all the GA matches for us to see is really, really good. And you could bring in the money through advertisements, through sponsorships a lot by doing that. You could. And that would, benefit the sport in general. We would be able to show the games. TG Carr can do it with the ladies' game. So I don't understand why across the board, RT, who have far more resources than TG Carr, can't do the same. And look, with GA Go, they're bringing in a hell of a lot of money, I would imagine, from the subscription service. And look, as I said, GA Go's coverage is fantastic. Fantastic. But for the life of me, as I said, I can't figure out why they haven't just said, you know what, GA Go is brilliant. Let's actually take these guys. Let's, put Darren Maloney, Ger Canning, Marty Morrissey, Joanne Cantwell, Donald Ogue, all the pundits. Let's put them into GA Go, combine them together, put them over as their own channel. Any GA stuff is on this channel now. It would be brilliant. It would be awesome. And then show as much Fair City as you like on RTE2. And the GA will have their own thing. And to be honest, that will probably benefit the arts industry, the music industry, the entertainment industry as well. Because say if you're someone in this country that has not the slightest interest in the GA or in sport, and then when the summer hits, you know that every Sunday afternoon is going to be taken up by a GA match. Well, maybe that won't be the case anymore. And then GA fans will all be watching RTE Sports Now or RTE GA. Be awesome. It'd be really, really good.
It would be, yeah. And what RT could do that with that as well, with sports content. I'd love to, do it with other content. Well, you could do it with, let's say, RT Entertainment, RT Lifestyle. You could have them kind of channels as well as sister channels.
Yeah,
that would be brilliant too. And it would benefit everybody to have this. Like, I could feel the pain of people watching. They don't want, people not interested in GA or not interested in sport whatsoever. They don't want to watch Roscommon and Galway on a Sunday afternoon. Simple as. They don't. They want to watch something different. So what this could enable people to do, the RT Sport channel or RT Entertainment or RT Lifestyle, they could switch over to that channel and watch something else.
Yeah.
There could be a lot of things done with it. They're really good. And I think that was a brilliant idea by yourself, Séamus. So pat on the back for yourself.
Appreciate it. That's a good idea as well with the RT Entertainment, RT Arts, RT Music. Like, you look at it, you're thinking, well, they managed to make... You look at Sky, for example. They take a leaf out of their book. Sky Cinema, Sky Sports. Different things for everything. And I feel like the GAA and RTE should try and come to some arrangement, maybe not for 2024 because it seems to be pretty much done, but 2025, come on, man. Like, you've got so much time to try and work something out. A TV channel that just around the clock shows all the games so that every fan knows, okay, that, like, say, for example, because let's be honest, if GA kind of works a lot more similar to every other sport than we like to think. You have your big box office draws. Your counties with your big population are going to be the ones that pull in the most numbers. So when RTE gets a Dublin, a Cork, a Galway, a Limerick, Kerry, Mayo, Tyrone, they're thinking, okay, this one, Armagh as well are brilliantly supported. I could go on. But when they get someone like that, they think, right, this one is the one that we're going to put on TV. If there's a Leinster preliminary round or a Connacht preliminary round between London and Galway, where Galway are going to smash them to bits, I don't necessarily blame them for going, you know what, we're not going to put this one out. But if you were to say, and I feel like every Galway fan will understand that if Mayo Roscommon is on the same weekend, that, look, they're going to show Mayo Roscommon, but then Galway fans could go, oh, but RTE Sports Now or RTE's GAA channel, GA Go, that's going to show Galway versus London live at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll just get up and watch it then. And like, that would be a lot more attainable to draw in the fan base rather than something that the elderly people in our society won't be able to figure out how to work out. Like, they can barely turn the telly on, let alone pay for a subscription online. So I think we should think about that. And if not think about that, the least we can do is to make it more accessible for the elderly people that can get to their local GAA club or pub or restaurant and watch the game live on the TV there. That should be something that we're pushing towards, because the way it is sadly, we're leaving people behind by doing it this way.
Yeah, exactly. So, and yeah, the GA should take a leaf out of this video's book or anything like that. And even we did a video
Remember,
on your
yeah, he's actually going to say
at the
this
start of the
time last
year.
year, wasn't it?
I think it was January. I definitely was over in Scotland. So it was the start of
Yeah.
this year that you put up this video. To be fair to you, you had
You
that
know what? I
very,
could put
very
this up again. I could put that up again.
I
Only the
don't,
people that saw it would
I
know.
don't know. No, we really wouldn't be. No, and it's an excellent video to be fair to you, but more content. And we're just not seeing enough content, in my opinion. Not even. And I thought when RT announced for the championship this year that they were putting up highlights, I was thinking, okay, this could be similar to Sky Sports, where they put up Premier League highlights, 2 minutes, 3 minute packages. They didn't put it up on YouTube. They put it online where nobody finds it.
Yeah, no, like the way that Sky Sports do it is really, really good. The way that instantly the Premier League matches are out, because Sky Sports had a real issue with people, getting highlights of games. You remember like the mad commentary that would be over it and all, the millions of different pictures that would pop up on the screen and everything, like the different tabs that would pop up over the video while you're watching it and everything. But it was free highlights of the game, and they were trying to block people. They were stripping down channels, trying to stop them from showing the highlights immediately after, because they thought it was hurting their business. And now they put out all of the highlights immediately. It's crisp, it's professional, the shot is really good, the highlights are really crisp, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, not very time consuming. Like, I know myself, I go on a binge of watching all the Premier League highlights like immediately after. Like on Monday I'll go, okay, I'll watch all 10 highlights here, and it takes 20 minutes out of my day to watch them all. And why the GA doesn't go Allianz League, because people are going to put them up, and then why they don't just go, okay, here's all the Division 1 highlights, all the Division 2 highlights, Division 3 highlights, Division 4 highlights from the GA's official YouTube channel. Everyone will watch them. Everyone will watch them. And all on top of that, if like that makes them money, which like at a basic level, that brings in more sponsorships, more money, which then could lead to them being able to cover more games.
Yeah, and that's the way it was. And people actually, they don't watch match. I think this might be a particular reason why the GA aren't doing this as well, Seamus. It's because you see with Sky Sports Premier League highlights, a lot of people watch it, including me and you. Like, we're so invested with it. But that in turn results in nobody watching Match of the Day, for example, on BBC. Maybe a lot of people won't watch the Sunday game then. So maybe RT are kind of thinking of that kind of way too. But just for the consumer, I think it would be an excellent idea. It'd be an absolutely brilliant idea. I heard Joanne Cantwell talk about this on Colin Parks' podcast. It was behind the paywall again, ironically. But I listened to that podcast. It was actually very, very good. And she was talking about how she understands the complaints from fans that Division 3 and Division 4 games aren't shown. And she's just basically saying there's just not enough cameras to get around to games. That was in February, March, around that time. I was thinking, okay, that's kind of an excuse. But then at the end of the league campaign, she says about Loud not being shown against, I think it was Cork or Dublin or whatever, in RT. And she said RT doesn't have the venue to fit TV requirements. And I'm like, why? TG Carr put up highlights on Monday night. That's just a terrible excuse, really. I like Joanne Cantwell as a presenter. I think she's underrated in many ways. But to say that on Allianz League Sunday about a country, that's just degrading. It really is. That's another thing with content as well.
Let's have it honest there. The truth was they didn't expect Loud to be as good as they were last season. They expected Loud to get thumped in every single one of their games and get relegated back down to Division 3. So they thought, we're not going to schedule any cameras to go down there. Like, the camera schedules, there's not a doubt in my mind, the camera schedules definitely happened months in advance. So they definitely weren't planning to send cameras down for that game. And then all of a sudden, Loud are pushing for promotion and they're thinking, what are we going to do here? And sometimes you can't turn something around that quick. And look, I don't blame them for that. Loud caught me by surprise. I tipped Loud to go down. Like, Mickey Hart worked miracles with them last season. It's a really, really tricky one. And look, I do agree. I watched Sean Kavanagh talking about it when he's talking about the analysis. The reality is there is a lot of games. A lot of games. So I'm looking at it thinking, at this point, who doesn't want to be a pundit for RT that's a former player? Like, who doesn't want to be? So the reality is I would look at it and go, okay, they should almost tier it with their pundits and go, okay, here's the top ones. Here's our top pundits. Here's the guys and girls that are going to be covering the All-Ireland finals. So here's our Sarah O'Donovan's. Here is our Lee Keegan's, Sean Kavanagh's. They're going to be covering the finals. Second tier, these are people that are recently acquired, people that are looking to make a name for themselves. So people like David Tubridy, like people like Grace Walsh, people that are getting into coverage. And at that point, you say, okay, we're going to select you, we're going to put you into groups, and your job is to cover these counties games.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're recently retired from Dublin, like a Paddy Andrews, you cover the Dublin games. If you're recently retired from Kerry, Mark O'Shea, you cover the Kerry games. And then when Kerry are playing, you are their pundit on the TV.
Yeah.
So that every county has one kind of dedicated or team covering their games. And that would make the analysis really, really good.
I think
it have in depth.
And another thing as well, actually, I was at the Cork and Clare game last year, and what Paul Flynn actually put up on Twitter was very smart of them. And a lot of people ridiculed Paul Flynn for his comments on David Clifford. Before that comment, which was probably would have for reading in the years or whatever, before that, he was an excellent pundit. I think he was very, very good and very good addition to RT. But what he did on Twitter, actually, he asked around and said, anybody at the Cork and Clare game, please give me a synopsis of the game. And basically, I replied to him with my stats of the game and my probably, analysis of the game in my own words itself. And Paul Flynn used that feedback to go into his analysis for the Sunday game, and it ended up very well. And I actually think that was smart of him. He actually follows me on Twitter. Fair play to Paul Flynn and all that, but
it could be dangerous though. At the same time, that could be dangerous because you could get false information and people giving you wrong score lines and everything like that.
Possibly, yeah, but like, wasn't it really smart of him? Good initiative.
I definitely think have your trusted people to give you information. And I think, look, when you release the list of all the people that have been on your podcast, like obviously past 100 episodes recently, obviously big congrats again. But that you immediately identified the counties that you haven't had anyone from. And like that's it, because it is important in the GA to have a friend in each of the counties. If anything really pops off in any of those counties, like for example, like if you wanted to cover, if anything happened in Leinster or in Dublin, I'd imagine you'd ask Aaron or myself or Luke first, like what's going on. If anything happened down in Munster, you're the first person I'd turn to go, what's going on down there? Like that type of thing is important and enmeshed in the GAA. So I feel like for pundits, they should get all the help they need, because Sean Kavanagh talking about the amount of games that they have to cover was very, interesting to listen to, because you're seeing it from the other side. And the reality is they know a hell of a lot about the GAA and they're really, really good at what they do. I just think that having a dedicated GAA channel would make the problems a hell of a lot easier. And as I said, like, it's something that we will talk about again. There's no question about it.
Yeah, definitely so. And I suppose we have to move on to the games itself, because a lot of time we take up on this.
There's games on. The games actually happened this weekend. So yeah, no, look, I'll put that out as an individual video. That there's no doubt about it. That deserves its own spotlight. And obviously I could chat about that with you all day, but I know that we will talk about that again, probably very, very soon. On top of that, look, while we're on it, real quick, last thing while we're on it, club games I'd also love to be shown, and a club Sunday game. Last thing. Now, anyway, moving into the club games, which would be top of the bill on the club Sunday game. The first one that I think that they would start with, and this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with Kilmacud Crokes surging into the history books by beating Naas in the Leinster Senior Football Championship final by 114 to 10 points. But in reality, this scoreline was fairly flattering. The game was so close throughout. Naas were only 2 points behind as the game ticked into stoppage time, but scores from Shane Walsh, Rory O'Carroll, and then, of course, that late Shane Walsh goal where he ran the entire length of the pitch and kicked it into an empty net obviously made it look a lot more of a bad defeat for Naas. But Kilmacud Crokes, first team to ever do 3 Leinster football titles in a row.
Yeah, and 3 in a row seems to be a team for the club this weekend. Definitely will get on to another sort of team in a sec. But Kilmacud, brilliant win for them in fairness. It wasn't a vintage Kilmacud performance, I have to say. I watched the full game myself, and I thought Naas were well in the game in this one. Alex Byrne was absolutely excellent. I know he got the red card at the end, but he was very, very good throughout the game. He scored 3 points, I think, or 4 points, 3 points for play. Very good performance from him. Darragh Kieran. But to be honest, other than them two, they scored 2 points, Naas, and that was, losing at the game. They just didn't have enough in the tank. But Shane Walsh, we talk about himself and Clifford, like 90% shot accuracy on the day against Naas. And if you haven't seen the goal on RT, look it back on Twitter again. What a goal this was. I know it was the end of the game. I know the Naas keeper was out of it. But don't we just love to see that with the negativity of Gaelic football over the past few weeks, just to, kick the ball beyond the defender and, flick it up and then, place it into the net like that. It's just brilliant to watch. It really is. I know a lot of people don't like Kilmacud Crokes and there's a lot of debate even on off the ball that I was hearing about them buying players. They're apparently the Manchester City of GA now. That's Ewan McKenna's comments and all that. I know he's commenting a lot on Twitter over the weekend, but they're a brilliant club. They've won 3 in a row for a reason. They're a very good club. Paul Mannion didn't have his best day, but still they had players to step up. Shane Howard stepped up in this case. Shane Walsh scored 2 points. Craig Diaz back in the middle of the field was crucial for them. If he's going to be there for the All-Ireland semi-final, that's going to be vital for them. And Kilmacud, it was a hard slog of a game, but they got through it in the end. Fair play to Naas for really putting up a challenge. But I will say, if Kilmacud perform like that in the All-Ireland semi-final against Glen or Scottstown, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, no, I think their performance needs to dramatically improve going into that All-Ireland semi-final because Naas held them for long, long periods. And look, Naas are a quality side, 3 Kildare titles in a row, but I don't think they're quite on the level of a Glen or a Scottstown. So Kilmacud do need to up their level. Look, the Shane Walsh goal was beautiful. He made something that is not easy look easy. The way he just skipped past the Naas lads, chipped it up in full motion, and then just kicked it so accurately into the empty net from quite a distance out. Like, he's just an absolutely beautiful footballer. And look, that's the difference, is that I made a video at the time where Shane Walsh transferred to Kilmacud Crokes, and I said, look, this is only a big deal because of who Shane Walsh is. He's a superstar. He hit 9 points in the All-Ireland final for Galway against Kerry and then made the jump to Kilmacud Crokes, who should have won the All-Ireland Club Championship that year, lost to Kilcoo in the final, but they were dominating in the first half and then just threw it away in the second half. Walsh comes in, and then all of a sudden off the back of his 9 points in the All-Ireland final. And I do think, if you look back through the history books of Dublin, this has been going on in Dublin for years. For years, people transferring in. It's not just a new problem. St. Jude's had 9 out of their starting 15 lads in the opening championship game against Nafina. 9 of the starting 15 were from outside Dublin. You could talk the turn of the millennium. Nafina won 3 Dublin championships in a row with Kieran McGeeney in the team. Remember him? The McNulty brothers. Des Mackin was in the team. They're all Armagh lads. Ballybowden won the All-Ireland Club Championship in 2015 with Paul Durkin from Donegal in goal. Do you remember Parnell's spending spree when they brought in Conor Mortimer, MJ Tierney, Colin Begley, Andres Doyle, Kieran McKeever? This has been going on for years. And Vincent's as well. Vincent's won the championships with Enda Varley from Mayo, Brendan Egan from Sligo. And this year they got Dara Cummins from Sligo. But the reality is none of the players that I mentioned had anywhere near as high a profile. Kieran McGeeney, you could argue, yes. But I think even he didn't have as much of a high profile as Shane Walsh. And the reality is Shane Walsh, since coming to Kilmacud Crokes, has made the difference. If you look at that final last year in Dublin against Nafina, if Shane Walsh wasn't on the pitch, Nafina would have won that game. This time against Naas, if Shane Walsh wasn't there, you could argue that Naas might have won. Shane Walsh kicked a goal and 8 points in this game. So this is why it's also getting all the controversy, because Shane Walsh has transferred to Kilmacud Crokes, and he played a huge role in them winning the All-Ireland Club Championship last year, and he played a huge role for them so far this season. And if they win, like you think of his goal in the Dublin final, 1-8 in the Leinster final, if they go on to win the All-Ireland, he will have a big part to play in that as well. And I think that's why it's getting so much coverage.
That's the thing as well. I think out of it all, between the Dublin Championship and the Leinster Championship and going into the All-Ireland series for Kilmacud this season, Shane Walsh has scored, I think, a total of 5 goals and 41 points, which is incredible in its own right. It's really, really good. And even the goal he scored against Aero from Carlow, remember that in the quarter-final? Excellent goal as well, where he just headed the ball like it was just simple. And even the goal against...
He's playing better for Crokes than Galway.
Possibly, but the thing is, for Galway, I thought this year for Galway, I thought he was tired. He just looked a tired player. And, once he get the fitness back, I think Power Joyce would have learned from that. Don't play him in the league whatsoever. League final, whatever. Start up in the Connacht Championship against London. That's an ideal game to start him now next year. Once Kilmacud are finished their All-Ireland foray. Start him in the game against London and then go on from there. I think that's the way you go with Shane Walsh for this. But thinking about it for Galway next year, if Galway play their cards right, Shane Walsh, Killy McDade, Damien Comer, you have good players in midfield as well. Paul Conroy, if he sticks around, John Maher. There's some very good players in Galway. And if Power Joyce knits it all together correctly, they could make an All-Ireland tilt. And a lot of people will think about them as underdogs because of what happened last year. If you have someone like Shane Walsh, he could definitely turn the screw forward. But I think he's better for Kilmacud this year. For Galway, probably he was better for Galway last year, but for Kilmacud this year because of the tiredness for the Galway. I think you'd think the same, Séamus.
Yeah.
Once the main game came, he looked tired. He looked a tired player. He re-energized the batteries, went to Kilmacud, and now he's an absolutely brilliant player, just ripping it up game after game after game. And he's just that type of player, same as David Clifford. Unreal players. And we're lucky to have both of them, aren't we? In state of Gaelic football at the moment, a lot of negativity around it, and these two boys are shining the light on the game itself.
Well, there's no doubt about it. They're the two best footballers, forwards anyway, I would say, in the country right now. No question about it in my mind. Paul Mannion, speaking of which, is also there for Kilmacud Crokes. He's not half bad either. Going into that game, look, Crokes got the win. They now have 7 Leinster titles, equal now with St. Vincent's and with Portlaoise. So those are the 3 that have the most. And look, if nothing changes, I wouldn't be surprised if Crokes break that record next season. Obviously, we'll play that by ear as it goes on. But yeah, Kilmacud Crokes, Leinster football champions for 2023/24. Now moving on to the other provincial final, which happened over the weekend, the Connacht Senior Football Championship final. St. Brigid's 113, Currafin 2-5. And I'll hold my hands up. Didn't see this coming. I honestly thought Currafin were going to win. Look, I gave Brigid's a very good chance. I thought it wouldn't be easy for Currafin, but I thought that Brigid's would just fall short due to Currafin's experience. But St. Brigid's turned in an incredible display. Ben O'Carroll was unbelievable with 1-7. That goal came from the penalty on the 14th minute. It was 1-6 to 1-2 at halftime to Brigid's. Liam Silk's goal just before halftime left it that way. Even though Dylan McHugh got another goal for Currafin in the second half, Brigid's hit 7 points in the second half. And they will face either Dingle or Castlehaven in the All-Ireland semi-final, and they are the Connacht champions.
They are, and deservedly so. And I will hold my hands up as well. I did not see this coming either. I thought Currafin would win this game. But I did say, I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but I did say that Brigid would have a serious chance if they had Brian Stack in the team, apart from his injury. And he was in the team, and he was superb. Ben O'Carroll was brilliant, but Brian Stack.
You can tell we've been talking about Diego for the last 45 minutes. I've done that a few times, so I've just lost train of thought.
Exactly, it happens to the best of us, definitely. But Brian Stack, I did it again. Brian Stack was absolutely brilliant at fullback, and he was driving on the team for Brigid. And they're probably 2 players for Roscommon. They're one of the key players. You talk about Linda Smith, Dermot Murta, Conor Cox, but them 2 players are excellent for Roscommon too. Brian Stack is one of the best defenders in the country, in my opinion. He's absolutely superb, driving up the team up the field. And the amount of turnovers that Brigid's won yesterday, I was so impressed with them. In the tackle, they were aggressive, they were in Corfin's faces, and they definitely deserved to win the game. And looking at the shooting as well, the big difference in the game, 77% conversion rate for Brigid's, 36% for Corfin. That's what won the game. They were absolutely brilliant on that. Ben O'Carroll got an 80% shot accuracy, unbelievable. Eight scores, 1-7. 3 points were played, deserved man of the match on TG Carr. You've Rory Fallon, Kieran Sugru had good games as well. But Corfin, they just kind of snuck into the game a small bit with Dylan McHugh and Liam Silks goals. I didn't think they deserved to stay in the game as long as they did. I thought Brigid's were the much better team on the day, deserved their win, but they got over the line in the end. Unbelievable achievement for them. Congratulations to them. And they'll be looking at the All-Ireland semi-final thinking there's a huge chance for an All-Ireland final now. Like Dingle, Castlehaven, they're two sides that would be used to the situation in All-Ireland semi-final. Castlehaven haven't been in the semi-final, I think, since 1997. Dingle have never been there. So it's a huge opportunity for Brigid's, and I'd guarantee they'll try to take it with both hands.
Well, that's it. And like, look, Castlehaven, on the other hand, we're talking 1997, of course. That was the infamous semi-final against Erin's Isle. That was the catalyst for the Harry Redknapp, Gianluca Vialli documentary as well. Like, that was brilliant. But so they have unfinished business with the All-Ireland semi-final stage anyway. Now, like, massive congratulations to St. Brigid's. Like, could they really, really surprise me? And like, just before we move on from this game, obviously St. Brigid's won the All-Ireland Championship in 2012. Now, there's no one really from that team still kicking around, not to my knowledge anyway. But how much do you think that matters to Brigid's going in? Like, does that bear any relevance?
I think it does to some extent. I heard Brian Stack's interview with Tommy Rudy from Off the Ball after that game, and he said, I started playing for Brigid's in 2014. So he actually missed it by I think it was 2012, 2013, yeah. So 1 or 2 years off. So that's just unlucky. It really is for such a good player like Brian Stack is. But he said actually in that interview that he would have heard stories out of them players. He would have been in Croke Park that day when they beat I forget who it was, a Dublin crowd that they beat Ballygunner. They beat in the final. He would have been in Croke Park at that time and looked at them players and thinking, I could be one of those in the future. And I think they would have been, thinking we could get back here.
More because thinking if Glen take out Crokes or if Scottstown take out Crokes, then they're into a final against a team that's never done it before.
Yeah.
And like, could that be the edge?
It could be. It really could be. And Ben O'Carroll is a new enough player as well, but he would have heard stories as well. He would have been a young kid waving a flag in Croke Park in the Hogan stand or whatever. And for him to go out in the field, potentially for an All-Ireland final, he would absolutely relish it. And I think history counts for a load in this sport as well. You look at clubs down through the years. You look at Kilmacud, for example. You look at St. Finbarrs, you look at Corfin, you look at Brigid's, obviously. A lot of them clubs are driven by history. And I think Brigid's are the same as well. They will be driven by history in this game. And if they keep up the intensity in defence and their shooting accuracy up top as well, and their brilliant dominance in midfield, I think Brigid's could go a long way in the All-Ireland Championship. And I seen them now once on Sunday afternoon, but I looked at them and I was really impressed with them. And I think they could really make a serious tilt at the All-Ireland this year.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't write them off again after I wrote them off before the weekends. So I've learned my lesson there, Brigid's fans. I apologise for that. But anyway, we're going to move on. This wasn't a final, but in my opinion, it's one of the most impactful results of the weekend. It was the All-Ireland football semi-final between Kilmacud Crokes and Kilkerrin Clonberne. And I think me and you are both fairly confident in saying whoever won this will probably win the final two. And after an absolute battle, Kilkerrin Clonberne won after extra time by 15 points to a goal and 10. Late scores from Olivia Divley and Maeve Flanagan pushed Kilkerrin over the line in a pulsating contest at Parnell Park. Kilkerrin Clonberne, this is a huge win.
Massive, and especially after extra time as well, to go through a draw and then go to extra time. And when Grace Cost got that goal for Kilmacud, we're thinking, is Séamus going to be right here? Is it going to be a shock at the cards? The Kilmacud will get over the line, but Kilkerrin Clonberne, they're brilliant champions, aren't they? They stick in there, they get the job done, and they're absolutely brilliant. Even Noon again with 6 points, brilliant footballer. Olivia Divilly, Louise Ward, and the Noon sisters in general, Hannah and Lindsay as well, got on the score sheet. 3 sisters getting on the score sheet. You barely see that with clubs in general. Chloe Miskell as well. And they probably didn't have their best day up front, but they still got the job done. And that's takes a sign of good champions. Kilmacud, they definitely put it up to them. They really did throughout the game. Laura McGee, I'd imagine, had a very good game. Eva Rutledge scored 3 points. Niamh Cotter from Cork scored 3 frees. Kate Murray scoring as well. So Kilmacud can definitely hold their hands up or hold their heads up high. They've done absolutely brilliant. To stick with Kilkerrin Clonberne as much as they did. This was effectively maybe the All-Ireland final. Maybe Ballymacarbry will have something to say about that in 2 weeks' time. But Kilkerrin Clonberne, they look on route to being All-Ireland champions. And who would have thought after they beat Moore Abbey, the first year of their 2 or 3 in a row, that you'd be thinking there could be a dynasty here.
Yeah.
It's on the edge of history now, completing the 3 in a row. So well done to Kilkerrin Clonberne. Excellent club side. But Kilmacud, no doubt they'll be back.
No question about it. Kilmacud are too good to not come back. And look, they, as you said, they can hold their heads high. Outstanding performances from the likes of Niamh Cotter. Particularly her, she slotted the free to actually send the game to extra time. Showed nerves of steel to do that. The Daverns were solid in this game, as they always are. Grace Cost, of course, hit the back of the net in the 11th minute. Like, they can hold their heads high. They went down to the champions. And look, this is what you'll always say. Great teams need great teams. Like, great teams need great opponents. Dublin were elevated by Mayo during their All-Ireland run. Mayo pushed Dublin to new heights. Like, you look at Kilkenny hurling's 4 in a row. Tipperary pushed them so much in that 2009 final. So then they lifted their level to 2010 to get better than them. Kilmacud Crokes and Kilkerrin Clonberne played out an extraordinary contest in that All-Ireland semi-final, and they both have elevated themselves to ridiculously good heights. And massive congratulations to Kilkerrin Clonberne. That's an absolutely sensational victory. They're into the final against Ballymacarbry. It's a Ballymacarbry side that's not been in the final since 1998. Now, they've only recently started to kind of convert that Waterford success into further success. Like, they won, obviously, back-to-back Munster titles, but before that, they hadn't won it in a while. They've won 42 Waterford titles in a row, so they basically have been winning that by default. Like, for them now, Ballymacarbry, who lost to Kilkerrin Clonberne in the semi-final last year, Kilkerrin, will they be thinking now, surely, that they're odds-on favourites to go and win it now and complete it 3 in a row?
You would have to think so, looking at the form between Kilkerrin Clonberne and Ballymacarbry, especially the semi-final last year was a hammering in the end. But what I will say about this Ballymacarbry team, they have a lot of young players on the pitch. They have a lot of excellent performances. Like, I've seen the scores against Clonberne at the weekend. They, like, a lot of their players have scored a lot from play. Aileen Wall got a goal. Brie McMaw scored 3 points. Summer Peters got 3 points, all from play, which is pretty impressive. It's a very good Clonberne side, in fairness, from County Armagh. And what I would say, the Ryan sisters, Louise and Michelle, are actually on the bench for them, I think it is. Michelle's definitely on the bench. But they're speaking a lot, I'd imagine, behind the scenes. And they're letting young players relish themselves. And I think that could be a serious recipe for success in many ways for Ballymacarbry. They look a very good side at the moment. Kellyanne Hogan, another good player as well. Mirren Boyce and Claire Walsh. They do have a good team, Ballymacarbry. And Waterford ladies football has been underrated over the last few years, in my opinion. And they can definitely push themselves onto glory. They've beaten Moore Abbey in the past few seasons. They've beaten Clonberne. They've beaten, I think, the Kerry champions, Southern Gaels, I think it was last year as well. They've beaten some good sides. The only team they haven't beaten, though, is Kilkerrin Clonberne. That's a big, big challenge to overcome. So, I wish them all the best of luck. Ballymacarbry, obviously, Michelle Ryan was on my podcast before. Sound person in general, and hope Ballymacarbry do well in the final. Kilkerrin Clonberne should be too strong, but you never know with the club championship. It can produce some bits of magic.
Yeah, and like we will touch on now, that other All-Ireland semi-final, Ballymacarbry 110, Clonberne 5 points. You've ran through the Ballymacarbry team and their key scorers, but then on the other hand, Niamh Murray was Clonbern's only scorer in this game. She hit all 5 of their points. 3 of those came from frees. So look, Clonberne were brilliant in the Ulster Championship. They were brilliant in the Armagh Championship. But in my opinion, looking at this game, I feel like this one just came too soon. Like, you look at the Coleman sisters, how prominent they were throughout. I just feel like maybe they ran into a BALLYMAC side that, in my mind, they're ready for this final. They have put the building blocks together. Maybe Clonberne, it was just a year too soon.
Maybe was, yeah, and it was just unfortunate the way they ended the year. Like, a very good win against Brigid in the final, in fairness, and they came through a very, very tough Armagh championship. We all know the standard of Armagh ladies football up there. So it was a tough championship in both Armagh and Ulster's come through, and maybe for a new side on the block, it was just hard to, get that performance together. Ballymacarbry were in that situation last year. Let's forget. I think they scored like 2 or 3 points last year against Kilkerrin Clonberne in the semi-finals. So they were in that situation last year. They know themselves. So Clonberne, it's about learning from this experience. They'll get back on the horse now next year. But for Ballymacarbry, they'll be confident going into the final now in 2 weeks' time. Like, you looked at Donaghmine last year from Monaghan. A lot of people wrote them off. But once they got to the final, they pushed Kilkerrin Clonberne all the way in that final. So who knows? They could put up a test.
And that's it. Like, when you look at it, BALLYMAC have nothing to lose. And a team that has nothing to lose is dangerous. And look, for Kilkerrin, what they have to do is they have to respect the challenge of BALLYMAC, because any upset in any sport always starts with the favourites taking the opposition lightly and thinking that they have the job done. That's how upsets always happen. So I think if Kilkerrin keep their feet on the ground and respect the challenge that they're going to come up against, I think they will win. But I think if they get complacent, if they get cocky, BALLYMAC are a dynasty down in Waterford and they're used to winning. So once they get victory within their sights, I think they'll be dangerous. But I will probably lean towards Kilkerrin. Obviously, full preview will come for that on the channel, so keep an eye out for that. So we're going from football now to hurling. And you mentioned as well how 3 was a team of the weekend, and no team is more dominant really in hurling now in terms of club championships, I think it's fair to say, than Ballygunner. Like, they've completed the Munster hurling 3 in a row by beating Clonlara at the weekend by 224 to 17 points. They made history by becoming the first club to ever do 3 Munster hurling titles in a row. And as a Munster man, what do you make of their dominance down there?
They are just a superb team. They really are. And a lot of people on Twitter were saying that it'd be interesting to see Ballygunner come up against Limerick, the Limerick senior hurlers, because they're 2 brilliant hurling teams in all the sense of the word. But Ballygunner, there was no sense of a shock. We talked about Kilkerrin Clonberne there against Ballymacarbry. You have to start fast and show the opposition respect. Ballygunner definitely did that in the first few minutes of this game. They showed Clonlara respect, and they hit 2 quick fire goals. Kevin Mahoney and Daisy Hutchinson hitting the net. And from then on, it was just easy. It really was easy. And it's not a fault of Clonlara. They've done well to get here. They got to 1 month to find for a reason. They got to declare championship. They got up to the top of the mountain there, and fair play to them. They just came up against a brick wall. Ballygunner are just an unreal team. How do you stop them, really? Like, and now with Ballyhale out of the championship, out of the picture, you're thinking this is going to be a serious All-Ireland challenge here. Paul Manny again to the fore, Kevin Barney, Peter Hogan, Patrick Fitzgerald probably didn't have his best day, but even on not his best day, still scores 2 points per play. You have Mikey Manny, Connor Sheehan, Harry Ruddle coming off the bench. Like, it's just an incredible club side. And it's the first ever time in Munster Club Hurling Championship history that a side has reached the 3 in a row. And it couldn't have happened to a much better side. Ballygunner are just a brilliant side. They're here to stay. And St. Thomas's from Galway, watch out in the semi-final, because Ballygunner are on a roll.
That's it. And St. Thomas's are sitting there like sitting ducks. They're just waiting there, having not played a game since the Galway final, which isn't really beneficial to them, to be honest. Like, they could really do with a dance partner over in the West. They really, really could. They could do with a dance partner if the Mayo Championship, Roscommon Championship, if we were in an ideal world, that they could somehow compete with St. Thomas's. But anyway, like, looking at Ballygunner, yeah, right, Pádraig Mahoney with 10 points, Kevin Mahoney with 1-4, Desi Hutchinson with 1-1, Peter Hogan with the man of the match and 4 points. They are just ridiculously good. And to think that they have beaten Sarsfields with minimal fuss, beaten the Piershig with not a lot of fuss, and then beating Clonlara with how can you stop them? Rightfully so. Like, especially now, ever since Ballyhale got knocked out, it's like their level's gone up. It's like that they've noticed the opportunity that is in front of them. And it's like, for Cushendall, O'Loughlin Gaels and St. Thomas's. Right now, I think if you were to combine all three of them and put them together in a team, I'm not sure that team would even beat Ballygunner. So it's really, really interesting to see, can anyone stop them? Because the form they're in right now is frightening.
It is. It definitely is. And I think once they heard that in the training ground, that Ballyhale lost to O'Loughlin Gaels that day, I think it was in October, they were like, I think they were like shitter cats. They were looking at that thinking, this is a chance to get the cream. No pun intended. This is a huge opportunity for us to get an All-Ireland. And Ballygunner have only got one All-Ireland, I think, in their history in 2020 and 2022 or 2021-22 season. So they're thinking this is a huge opportunity for a second in 3 years. And this is an opportunity to build the dynasty. They are a superb team. Like all their players seem to perform well on given days as well. Desi Hutchins and Patrick Fitzgerald, Padraig Manny, Kevin Manny, Peter Hogan. You could argue that's an inter-county side. They could beat.
You actually, like, genuinely, it's just popped into my head. If Ballygunner were to play the rest of Waterford next season, do you think the rest of Waterford would definitely win?
The rest of Waterford wouldn't win, no. Ballygunner would win.
Because on top of that, let's be honest, the rest of Waterford don't even have Austin Gleeson because he walked away.
Yeah.
So the rest of Waterford would have the Bennetts, Neil Montgomery, Jack Prendergast, Jack Fagan, Jamie Barron, Tig de Burka, Connor Prunty. Like, it's a good team, but I think it would be very close. And I don't know of many other situations, maybe down with Kilcoo, where you can genuinely say the county team against one club team and it would be a close game. Like, Ballygunner are a freak in terms of club sides. They are fantastic. They're in the All-Ireland semi-final, and I don't think anybody's going to stop them. And absolutely massive congratulations to them. We're going to look now at the other provincial hurling finals, which happened, starting with over in the East, the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship final. O'Loughlin Gaels, 22 points, Nafina, 118. I'm going to give you your flowers, first of all. You correctly called O'Loughlin Gaels to beat Nafina. We both agreed, though, that whatever the result, it was going to be very, very tight. And it wasn't going to be more than a score or two in it. And the Fina were 118 to 20 points ahead on 58 minutes. Their goal came in the 38th minute from Sean Curry, but then Luke Hogan levelled the game and Mark Bergen struck the winner in the 60th minute from a free, and O'Loughlin Gaels are Leinster champions.
And deservedly so. They were brilliant on the end of the night, in fairness. And when Sean Curry got that goal, I genuinely thought Nafina had it. And to do it without Donald Burke, and even for Nafina for a minute, to go within a point of a Leinster championship without your star man in the team, that's brilliant. In fairness to Nafina, applause to them. Fair play to them for getting to the Leinster final and pushing O'Loughlin Gaels all the way. It probably, like a lot of Kilkenny people would argue, probably wasn't what O'Loughlin Gaels are capable of. It probably wasn't their best performance on the day, but they got the job done, and fair play to them. Paddy Deegan on the day. Yeah. Like we talked about him on the podcast during the week. What a performance. 5 points for play. What a showing from him. He's just an incredible hurler. Hugh Lawler as well. Mikey Butler. They all performed brilliant. David Morgan is another player to watch. Mark Bergen again had a very good game. And even Luke Hogan coming on and getting that point. Like O'Loughlin Gaels definitely had Nafina's number in the last few minutes. And I thought when Nafina got that goal, I thought they had it. I thought they had that game. But O'Loughlin Gaels, they put their shoulder to the wheel. They got the job done in the end. And they got the win in the end. But Brian Ryan had a good performance for Nafina in midfield. Colin Curry was excellent as well. AJ Murphy at stages were very good as well. John Tierney's a good young player to Nafina have in the team. But ultimately, it was O'Loughlin Gaels' day. And you have to worry for the likes of Nafina and Nafina in particular, because they didn't win this Leinster title without Ballyhale in it. So once Ballyhale came next year, it's going to be very tough for them. But fair play for O'Loughlin Gaels getting over the line. It'll be a tough semi-final against Cushendall, I imagine. But they've got their Leinster title now. And Brian Hogan, what a coach he is. What an instrumental figure he is. I actually only realised this week that he's the O'Loughlin Gaels manager. I'm thinking, okay, that's why they won the Kilkenny Championship, because they have a legendary manager there. So well done to Brian Hogan for getting these group of players together and coming up with the goods.
And it's yet another Kilkenny player from that Brian Cody team who has transferred into being a very, very good manager. I mean, Eddie Brennan, like Henry Shefflin, Mick Fennelly, like lot of lads there that have Derek Ling, that have stepped out and become very, very good managers under Cody's tutorship. And that, I mean, in itself speaks to his legacy. It speaks to what a great manager he was. But anyway, we'll go back into the game. You're right. Paddy Deegan was ridiculously good. And like, it's one of those games where I knew he was good, but that game was in particular where I was like, okay, I didn't know he was that good. 5 points in play and a rocket centre half back. Mikey Butler and Hugh Lawler were outstanding. Mark Bergen as well, as I said, hitting 11 points. Like, their big men stepped up when they needed them to. And that's really what this O'Loughlin Gaels side is all about. They have, their clutch players always step up. Cushendall await them in the All-Ireland semi-final, and we're going to move on to that game now. But massive congratulations to O'Loughlin Gaels on that. We'll preview the O'Loughlin Gaels game with the Cushendall one. So the Ulster Senior Hurling Championship final also took place over the weekend. Cushendall won it by 20 points to Slough-Neil's 2-10. And again, it's not that I'm stunned about this, but I was a little bit surprised. Cushendall, I didn't actually expect them to beat Slough-Neil because of how close they had been pushed by Portaferry. They relied on Neil McManus to smash in a late goal to get the game to extra time. And I thought Slough-Neil would be a little bit more clever than them in this game. But no, not to be. It's their first Ulster crown since 2018. Paddy Burke and Owen Campbell were brilliant in defence. Neil McManus hit 8 points and Ed McQuillan hit 4 from play. Cushendall against O'Loughlin Gaels now in the All-Ireland semi-final.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what I would have argued, I wouldn't have predicted this. I would have said Slough-Neil as well for the record. But what I would have said that Rory Oak, Cushendall's probably clutch was compared to Slough-Neil was they had that extra game. I know St. Patrick's, they wouldn't have been the best kind of team for Portaferry and down, but it was a game. It was a challenge, and Rory Oak Cushendall had that. And Slough-Neil, in comparison, didn't have a Derry final until I think it was October, maybe September. So
do you think
that
the
was
fact that they didn't smash Portaferry to bits actually helped them going into this game?
I think it did. I think that extra game had had them on, ready for the game. It really did. And McManus hit that late free. It probably gave them that belief that they could go on and win the Ulster Championship in many ways. They hit that free against Portaferry to send the game to extra time. Because then you were thinking, there's something special happening here. So Neil McManus has definitely a lot of tanking that is needed for him. Ed McQuillan, though, was the star of the game, scoring 4 points per play. He was absolutely brilliant in this game in general. Joe McLaughlin as well, Ronan McAteer, Scott Walsh, Owen Campbell. Like, they all had very good performances, in fairness, for Rory Oak, and fair play to them for getting over the line. Slough-Neil, they had their footballers like Chrissy McCaig, Shane McGuigan, and Brendan Rodgers. They definitely put up a very good performance themselves. 2 of them even got on the score sheet, but it wasn't to be, as you said, and Rory Oak got over the line, and they will play O'Loughlin Gaels in the semi-final. One thing, the Antrim G admin on Twitter, I'm not sure did you see that. He was putting up a post about Neil McManus' point. He was saying that Neil McManus spinning Chrissy McCaig. He was saying Neil McManus / Chrissy McCaig / see ya. So a lot of it's social media for that for the Antrim GA. Admin. A lot of people are complaining, saying it was unclassy. I'm not sure of your opinion on it. I thought it was quite a funny moment, but fair play for Cushendall getting over the line.
Nah, I get a sense of humour. Have a bit of a laugh with it. Look, it's one of those things that probably hurts because you did get sent to the shops, but at the same time, like, look, I think it's a little bit of spice. I think there's room for that in the game, but I think it's definitely an outstanding victory for Cushendall. I didn't see it coming. I thought Slough-Neil would have the number, but they didn't. Cushendall against O'Loughlin Gaels in that All-Ireland semi-final. Having watched the two of them in action over the weekend, which one are you kind of leaning more towards?
I would say O'Loughlin Gaels, but only just. Like you've seen with Ulster teams like Dunloy and Slough-Neil, they definitely put up a challenge to these sides like a Ballygunner or O'Loughlin Gaels in the semi-final stage. I just feel O'Loughlin Gaels will have enough for them. The likes of Paddy Deegan, like Owen Wall didn't have his best performance against Kilmacud. He'll certainly crank it up the gears again in the semi-final. I think O'Loughlin Gaels will get over the line. But let's be honest, Séamus, whoever's coming through will not win the final.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think O'Loughlin Gaels will be the team that loses to Ballygunner in the final. I don't think anybody can stop Ballygunner now. But like, look, when you look at it, like just before we move on to the Camogie, when you look at it, like we have a situation here where in the Camogie, Sarsfields from Galway won their semi-final. They're going into the final and they will probably go in expecting to win. I know Dicksboro are fantastic and definitely won't be complete underdogs in that game. It's very much a 50-50 tie. You've got Kilkerrin Clonberne going for 3 in a row. You've got Ballygunner going for the title again when they look like nobody can stop them, and they've pretty much shared it with Ballyhale for the last 2 years. And then you've got Kilmacud Crokes going for 2 in a row in the football, and they've just won a 3rd Leinster title in a row. Do you think that the club championship is becoming a little bit more kind of dominated by a few clubs than it was maybe 20 years ago?
Possibly so. Possibly so. When you even think about it before, the likes of these sides that you mentioned, it came to the fore. In hurling, it was Ballygale Shamrocks. They seem to take every all-around hurling championship to an extent. In football, before that, it was Kilcoog. Before that, even it was Corfin and Dr. Crokes that kind of shared it. Then in ladies football, before Kilkerrin Clonberne, it was more Abbey from Cork that kind of took everything. And in Camogie, I think it was nearly always Sarsfields, wasn't it? Or the Bala from Wexford or another. So I think it was just a general thing that has happened over the last few seasons. I think the days of the shocks in intercounty and club has kind of drifted away now. Like you look at the club game in football in the early 2010s, we talked about BRIGIDS there. That was a huge shock in them winning the championship. Like even look at St. Galls in 2009 from Antrim. I think those sorts of games, those finals won by mediocre. I wouldn't say mediocre now, that's a bit harsh, but unfancy teams is kind of gone. I think Loughlin Shamrocks won at the All Ireland in 2009 as well from Antrim. That was an incredible year for Antrim in general. Loughlin and St. Galls both winning. I think like that, those sorts of days are now slowly drifting away.
Well, I just think it's because of the way that the game is being played, man. Because I remember Joe Brolly said it on Joe Brolly said it about the Dublin team. He said that like the days he said it in 2013. Like, so this is like 10 years ago he said this. He said the days where you could go out and kind of smash and grab against a good team are long gone, because the good team or the better team will just control the game for the entire 70 minutes, 60 minutes, and you're forced to play on their terms. So when you play Kilmacud Crokes often make you play their game. So they set up how they're going to set up and you end up playing into their hands. They smash you early, and like Ballygunner did it there to Clonlara, smashed them for 2 goals in the first quarter, and then Clonlara are chasing the game for the rest of the game, and it's played on Ballygunner's terms. Like when you look at it, it's very much whoever has the best kind of system and process tends to win. And look, the best players usually win out, but system and process has more now to play than ever before. And when we see with super clubs, like I put up a poll and someone commented back to it, and it was a really, really good point. I put up a poll back in 2021 when Loughmore Castellani and Kilmacud Crokes both won the double in Dublin in football and hurling. And I said, which is a more impressive double? And someone said, Loughmore's is way more impressive because Kilmacud's did their double with 2 different teams.
Yeah.
And I looked through it and went, oh my God, they have a completely different starting 15 for both the football and the hurling. There is nobody who plays senior football for Crokes that also plays senior hurling. Brian Sheehy is the only one who's on the panel. The rest all picked one.
Yeah.
And like that's, do you think that will become more apparent in the clubs as we go on? Like Ballygunner, for example, having lads that are not committing to Waterford and only committing to Ballygunner?
Yeah, I think it's a relevant point, to be fair. Like you see a lot with the city clubs in general, and they were talking about that in the Leinster football coverage as well. I think on the panel was, I think it was Ross Bundy on the panel, or somebody was on the panel, or Dermot Connolly was one of them anyway. On the panel, John Hazen was another. They were talking about this. They were saying that Naas and Kilmacud both have very big kind of areas, kind of catchment areas. So they're obviously going to dominate when you look at the city. And even down here in Cork, Nemo Rangers, they're close to UCC. And we talked about this actually off air. We were going to do it in kind of an experiment. This would actually be an interesting experiment of clubs beside colleges. And you were talking about a lot of Dublin college clubs beside DCU, UCD, and all that. I know from Cork experience, the clubs beside UCC are St. Finbarrs and Nemo Rangers. And what do you know? They're the two dominating forces in Cork. St. Finbarrs are in both hurling and football, while the Nemo Rangers are in hurling. Castlehaven is just a blip out of the blue. But then again, Castlehaven are a club that only concentrate on football. So maybe you're kind of seeing that either a club concentrates solely on one sport, or clubs are just way too big with big numbers. Like, for example, St. Finbarrs have about 3 or 4 teams, about senior teams. Like, their second team won the Premier Junior Championship in Cork, beating Kilmurray, who are in the Munster final next weekend. That's how huge the Bars area actually is. Nemo Rangers the same. Like, it's just unbelievable. And I'd imagine the same in Dublin with Kilmacud, the amount of numbers, 2 different teams. You look at the other clubs around Dublin, and I imagine even clubs around Limerick, Tipperary, like Lockmore Castletown is probably an outlier, because when you look at the 2 teams, they're kind of nearly the same kind of players. Newcestown and Cork is an outlier as well. They won both senior A grades with the same team, which was absolutely incredible in its own right. But I think for the future of winning All-Irelands, I think what clubs have to do it eventually is either have big areas like a Kilmacud Crokes or a Naas or St. Finbarrs, or concentrate on one sport, like Ballygunner in hurling, like Castlehaven in football, like Dingle in football, and go from there. I think that's the way the club has to go nowadays. I think the shock days are now gone. While we're on the shocks, actually, I was watching a game the other day that actually produced a very big shock. And Joe Brawley coincidentally was on the panel that very day on the Sunday game. Down against Kerry in the 2010 All-Ireland quarter-final. Wins that game, people were thinking Kerry are going to ease through here. Down don't have the talent. But then Benny Coulter, Marty Clark and all them announced themselves, and Down win it. I don't think you'd see a shock quite like that again. I really don't, because the bigger teams are now prepared for these types of challenges, as we mentioned at the start of the show, with some teams like Kilkerrin Clonberne, for example. And it just plays out of the hands of the underdog, and that's just the way the game has gone nowadays.
Yeah, I'd say like we haven't seen a shock in a while, like a shock. Like I think we've seen a couple of surprises, like surprises. I would say maybe Cork beating Mayo this year was a surprise, but not a shock. Like, I wasn't stunned that Cork did that. The last time I was shocked at a result, I think off the top of my head, was Carlow beating Kildare in 2018. That was the last time I can remember being like, but what? How did that happen? But I think we might see it come back into the game. Hopefully we do. Anyway, the final code, and there were 2 All-Ireland Senior Camogie semi-finals, and the defending champions Sarsfields from Galway beat the Cork champions, who are also called Sarsfields. They won in a game that finished 2-10 to the Galway Sarsfields, 1-6 to the Cork Sarsfields. And it was the experience that proved to be vital for the defending champions Sarsfields from Galway. Clara Donoghue, Claude McGrath, Siobhan McGrath, Rachel Murray, all to the fore as they get this victory and go into the All-Ireland Camogie final, where they will be playing Dicksboro from County Kilkenny.
Yeah, brilliant result for Sarsfields from Cork, and we did say Sarsfields would win this game. So
who would have got
it? Exactly, yeah. But Sarsfields from Cork, look, they had 1-2 for play. Kate Fennessy getting the goal, Holly Hurley, Orla Mullins, very good performances and appearance for them. But this was probably a game too far for them, and we talked about Kilkerrin last week, or Clonberne in the LGFA. It kind of came too soon for the Sarsfields from Cork. It just came too soon for them. They've had a brilliant year, winning the Cork Championship, winning the Munster Championship. Nobody expected them to do it. Nobody expected them to beat Shandoon and Drummond Inch in the same year. Fair play to them. But Sarsfields and Galway are just a different animal. You have the McGrath sisters there. Siobhan was absolutely superb with 1-2. Clara Donoghue, what a performance from her. 1-2 for play. Very good to him, in fairness. Claude McGrath, another one. Cueva Kelly, Rachel Murray, Shannon Corcoran, another good young player there. Orla McGrath, not sure she fits for the team now, but she's a very good player in general. So there is very good players in the Sarsfields side. They definitely fancy their chances in completing the 2 in a row. in 2 weeks' time against Dicksboro. They have a very good chance of doing that. And I think the manager is actually Hopper McGrath. I think he's the father of the McGrath sisters as well.
Michael
So
McGrath, I think Michael Hopper.
Michael Hopper, yeah, one name. But brilliant from that family in particular, and another family in the club in G, and another club that seems to be dominating the sport of Camogie.
Yeah, no, they are absolutely fantastic. And look, last year it was one of those where I couldn't see them not winning the All Ireland Camogie title, no matter who they came up against. And look, they beat Lochiel Shamrocks in the final, which Lochiel lost in the other semi-final. So they lost to Dicksboro by 2-13 to a goal and 10. So Dicksboro through to the All Ireland final after beating Lochiel. 2 second-half goals from Aisha McCarty proved the crucial scores in this game. Jenny Clifford and Aoife Prendergast also to the fore. It was the second half that won this game for Dicksboro. Lochiel were leading by 1-8 to 6 points at half-time. Roisin McCormick, Annie Lynn, they were all to the fore. Katrine Dobin hit the goal in the 5th minute. And yet Dicksboro roared back into the second half, dominated, held Lochiel to just 2 points in that half. And at the same time, they also hit 2-7 themselves. So that has got them through to the final.
Outstanding performance, I will say, in the second half, and probably the best performance of one half of Camogie, of ladies football or whatever sport of the weekend. I think it was brilliant, to be honest. The whole Lochiel to 2 points and to score 2-7 themselves. It was brilliant. It fairness to Dicksboro, and Aisha McCarty, as you mentioned there, very good, underrated player in many ways for the Kilkenny Camogie team. To get those 2 goals were absolutely vital in the game. Aoife Prendergast, another good performance from her, scored 7 points. Amy Clifford, another good performance. Rachel Dowling. There are very good players in the Dicksboro team, and they do have good pedigree coming from Kilkenny. Like, Kilkenny's a very good county for Camogie. They'll definitely be the underdogs going against Sarsfields in 2 weeks' time, but they'll definitely fancy their chances at the same time. Like, they're under no pressure, the same as Ballymacarbry and the LGFA, under no pressure whatsoever to get the job done, and they'll go in, slightly under the radar. They'll go in nicely, and they'll definitely fancy their chances in putting up a good performance in the fight. But Lochiel Shamrocks, they had a good year last year, decent year now this year, but they ultimately got beaten after. Dicksboro had a very good second half performance, and ultimately Lochiel's performance in the second half just wasn't enough. Roisin McCormick and Katrine Dobbin, other than them 2, they got 2 points, and ultimately that's just not enough to win those sort of big crunch games.
No, that's it. And look, going into that final, like, obviously big credit to Lochiel on the year that they had. They dominated Ulster again. They are the best team up north. But look, coming into this game, I was very confident in them at halftime. I was thinking, I was keeping up. I didn't actually get to watch the game, but I was keeping up with the score updates. I was pretty happy at halftime. I was thinking, I've got this one right. And Dicksboro rolled back into the game. And look, it's not good enough for them that they only scored 2 points in the second half. And look, they'll know that's nowhere near enough to get into the final. But Dicksboro will know, if you're trailing by 1-8 to 6 points at halftime to Sarsfields in the final, you ain't coming back like that. You're not coming back like that. So they know that they're going to have to make a better start in the final. They
definitely will, yeah. Various, like, Sarsfields are just a different breed of a team to Lochiel, and they definitely have to make a better start than they did in the semi-final. And one thing as well, Séamus, I think you backed Lochiel Shamrocks in the Camogie, and you backed the FINA in the hurling. One thing that you have to learn: never write off the Cats.
That's it. I think it's one of those things that I had a bit of a stinker this week. I always kind of look at the videos where I'm pointing at who I think is going to win. The week previous, I think I got 10 out of 12, and I was thinking, that's pretty good. This week I got 4 out of 9, so that's not great. I can't lie, that's not great. So the only thing that I can say on a little bit of a positive note is, look, 2 of the teams that I thought were going to win, one of them lost after extra time and one of them lost by a point. So they weren't exactly tragic predictions. It wasn't like when I predicted Tyrone to beat Kerry in the quarterfinal last year.
I remember that.
Yeah, no, that's the worst prediction. I think it was in Colin Parkinson's introduction. Do you remember the 2017? I think it was Conan Doherty that said it. Fantastic pundit. I really, really like Conan. But I remember him saying before the 2017 semi-final against Dublin, he was like, I think Tyrone are going to win. And that was Dublin tore them limb from limb. That was when Con O'Callaghan got the goal in the first 5 minutes and just Dublin ate them alive for the rest of the game. Like, it's one of these things where those games, you pick one or you pick the other, and nail your colours to the mast. But going into these final games, it's going to get even harder to call. It's going to get even harder. Like Glen Scottstown. I don't feel comfortable going either way in that game. But yeah, it's been an absolute marathon, Matthew. Thanks so much for coming on again, taking the time out of your day. 1 hour 40 minutes on the clock. Thanks to anyone who tuned in over that hour and 40 minutes. We will be with you again very, very soon to talk about GA Go again, most likely. But again, to talk about the club championship action as well. Until that next episode, guys, take care.